Hello, today we're going to cover 3.5b, which is using point slope form to write the equation of a line. And we're going to be using this in reference to lines of best fit, but we're just going to talk through the process of writing something in point slope form. So here is what point slope form is, and I'm going to use this moment to compare it to slope intercept form. Slope intercept form is the form of the line we are very familiar with, y equals mx plus b. Point slope form looks a lot more complicated, but it's actually a really helpful equation of a line to know because it allows us to use more points. So to compare these two, the first thing we'll point out is they both have this m, and M represents slope in both forms. All right. Now, sometimes you won't necessarily be given the slope, so you might need to know the equation of slope, which, as a reminder, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, then in point slope form, instead of having the y-intercept, we can use any point that is on the line. So it does not have to specifically be a point that is on the y-axis. It can be any point that is on the line. And that's super helpful because sometimes we don't know what the y-intercept is, or it's really hard to find out. So here's how we're going to use this. You'll be given a line, or potentially you'll be given 2 points, and you'll be asked to write the equation of that line in slope intercept form. Well, if I want it in slope intercept form, which as a reminder is y equals mx plus b, I have to have the slope and I have to have the y-intercept. Now, in this line, I can't see the y-intercept, so I don't know what it is. So I am going to use point slope form instead. To use point slope form, we need to know at least 2 points that are on this line. Now, it doesn't matter what 2 points we have, but I'm going to use these two here. So this one is to the right 2 and up 3. So that's 2 comma 3. And the second point is just to the right 3 and up nothing. So I'm going to be working with the points 2 comma 3 and 3 comma 0. The first thing I'm going to do is calculate slope. Now, because we have a graph, I could count rise over run, but just for fun's sake, I am going to calculate the slope using the slope formula because a lot of times you will not be given the graph. So I'm going to subtract my y's. I'm going to go 3 minus 0. And again, it doesn't matter what order you do those in as long as you keep it consistent. And then I'm going to subtract my x's, 2 minus 3. What that ends up giving me is 3 minus 0 and 2 minus 3, which is 3 over -1. And I can reduce that to -3. This is my slope, which is also known as your m. All right, so we know the slope of that line. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to use point slope form, and we are going to replace, oopsies, the slope with what we know the slope is now. So we're going to put this right there, and we are going to plug in any point into this x1 and y1 spot. So here's what this is going to look like. We're going to have y minus something equals something, that's our m, x minus something. So we're going to fill in those boxes. So my m, or my slope, is -3. Use different color. Now, a point can be either of the points that I have listed up above or listed over here on the graph. I'm going to use 2 comma 3. It does not matter which one I choose to use. What's important is that you put the y value next to the y and the x value next to the x. So again, it's just any random point. It does not matter. So I'm going to write this without the boxes so you can see what it looks like. Now, this is in point slope form. Point slope form is great. However, we want to write it in a way that's a little bit easier for us to graph. So we are going to do some simplification. The simplification steps is 2 steps involved. You are going to distribute that slope, so the -3. And what that means is I am multiplying -3 with x, which is -3x, and -3 with -2, which is going to turn it into a +6. In slope-intercept form, we need the y by itself. So I'm going to do a little train track here, and I am going to add 3 to both sides because I have to do the opposite operation. What that does is it gets rid of that -3 over there, and I'm left with just y equals -3x plus 9. So now I could tell you that the y-intercept of this line is 9. It seems like a long process, but it really isn't too bad. I'm going to pop the steps up here on this next page, and maybe you want to write these down to use these steps, but otherwise, good luck on your assignment and trying some more problems.